A palette full of color, we'll leave the truth uncovered, cause all these lies are white. We use the words we write to shine a light on life. My light is lava like it's hot and burning bright now.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Cyn. I'm Cynthia Dorsey.
I'm Veronique McRae.
And we are so happy that you are in the room today. We're super excited to jump right on into one of my favorite playwrights, Ms. Ntozake Shange. I am so excited to talk about Ms. Shange because she was one of the first playwrights I fell in love with. This aside from Langston Hughes, the first female playwright I fell in love with. She was born October 18th, 1948 in New Jersey to a middle-class family. She grew up having a strong love for poetry. So she's not only a playwright, but she writes poems as well. Her name originally was Paulette Linda Williams. And, you know, coming up in the era that she came up in where it was like big on the Black Panther Party during the 70s, sis was like, listen, I don't want this name. This is not my name. I want an African name. So she changed her name to Ntozake Shange. Ntozake simply means she who comes with her own things. And Shange means she who walks like a lion. And that's from the Xhosa dialect of Zulu. Ms. Shange has written so many bodies of work, of which includes the one we're covering today, For Colored Girls Who Consider Suicide When the Rainbow is Enough. Spell Number 7 is a play I hope we can cover at some point. Along with those, she's penned novels, Sassafras, Cypress and Indigo, Lillian, Betsy Brown. As you all may know, she did link with Tyler Perry at one point, and Tyler Perry adopted her play For Colored Girls into a movie. And luckily for me, I had a chance to go and see her speak live, and she talked about how disappointed she was in the film.
Who is a woman in white who doesn't exist in my work. Who's a religious fanatic who does not exist in my work. And so it was bastardized.
Tyler Perry wrote Lady in White. She said, Lady in White does not exist in my world, confined by religious thought. She's really big on writing women free. And she felt like Lady in White was not of her world, was not free in thought, was not free in spirituality. She was confined by whitewashed structures that guided her. So she was really, really disappointed in the film. Overall, her catalog is vast. The world lost Miss Shange. She died October 27th, 2018. But luckily for us, she's gifted us with with a very healthy body of work, and we love and appreciate her here on Cyn. And I know across the world, people are performing her plays, reading her poems, and are grateful for what she has contributed to this industry. So thank you, Ms. Shange. Ashe.
Definitely. I had the honor of performing in this piece, maybe was it 5 years ago now? And so I'm just going to share a little bit about the background specifically of for colored girls who have considered suicide when the rainbow is enough. A lot of people, you will hear the shorthand title, they'll say for colored girls, but that is the full title. And it's actually considered to be her first work. And although all of her work is so powerful, this is probably one of the most critically acclaimed theater pieces by her, because so many people around the world are able to perform and produce this show and share those voices. The poem, Shange titled it as a choreo poem. It's actually a series of about 20 poems or poetic monologues, and it's coupled with dance and movement and music, and that's where she coined it the choreo poem. So as Cynthia was talking earlier, she's not only a playwright, novelist, but a poet, and she weaved all of those things together in this piece. The piece focuses on different stories of African-American women. We find 7 women in this piece who are not named except by their color represented in the rainbow. And so those interconnected stories, they look at love, struggle, loss, empowerment, discovery, and it really delves into issues from whether it's discovery of love, relationship, abuse, abortion. And then later on, I believe it was in 2010, she actually updated the poem with the poem Positive, and also referencing about PTSD and the Iraq War. So you can see even in that brief statement how this work, to me, is timeless, because it speaks truly to the stories of African-American women, women of color. The pentameter, the style, the vernacular she uses in this piece, she really, the writing of For Colored Girls is to draw you into the story.
Yeah.
It doesn't have this, it has just this unorthodox kind of way, this rhythm and the syncopation with it being a choreo poem, but it invites you in to really learn their stories and see your story within them. Yeah. The piece she did a first like incarnation, if you have it, in a women's bar outside of Berkeley, California in December of '74. And then the piece went on to open in 1976, I believe it was September, at Booth Theater at NYC. So it made it the second play by African-American woman to hit Broadway. It was preceded by Lorraine Hansberry's A Raisin in the Sun. During an interview with CNN in 2009, she shared how the title came about. And I want to directly read what she stated about that. So she said, "I was driving the #1 highway in Northern California, and I was overcome by the appearance of 2 parallel rainbows," recalls Shange. "I had a feeling of near death or near catastrophe. Then I drove through the rainbow and I went away. Then I put that together to form the title." So remember, sometimes we love to shorthand it, but this piece, hearing the whole title has such significance to it. For colored girls who have considered suicide when the rainbow is enough. And some of these stories do come from her own experiences and then the shared experiences of others. She has shared about how she had, suicidal ideations or attempts in different things, and how all of that has culminated together into a piece that I really think speaks beyond generations for what it is.
What's your favorite character in the show?
I could be biased. I might be biased. I'm gonna say I'm biased.
Okay.
And honestly, I loved all of them, but I think because I had to really dive in and do the work for Lady in Red, that she became my favorite, because even though her stories weren't directly mine, I remember during the rehearsal process, I remember breaking down in my car one day. I was sitting in the car outside of the apartment door, because I don't know how everybody feels. There's something about when you pull up to your door in your home, but you just want to sit in that car, right? And you don't quite decide.
Yes.
And I remember sitting there and I just had the script like on the passenger side because that script went with me, wherever I went. And I just broke down. I was like, I can't move. And I just had these tears because I said, she has literally spoken to parts of me that I haven't even spoken to anyone else about. But I can't honestly limit that to Lady in Red. It's just that's the, I was diving into those pieces so much that's where that first, I guess, breaking occurred that started healing for me. But I mean, I loved, I'm gonna forget it. Don't forget it. I love the monologue of Lady in Blue about the abortion. Okay. I loved that. I loved Sorry. Because now that I'm a little older, and a few relationships where I'm like, I could spit that poem out word by word. Like, there's just so many things that you can connect to that I don't necessarily say I have like a favorite character, but I lean towards the one I played just because I was able to dig into that the most.
Right. Yeah. When I was in high school, I played Lady in Orange, and Lady in Orange is fun. She's really fun, loves to dance, loves music. So it was perfect for me in high school. But as an adult, I really lean into Lady in Yellow. First of all, yellow is my favorite color in general. But the monologue Graduation Night, I feel like of all of the colors, Lady in Yellow was the one probably stuck in adolescence. And that resonates with me, not because I lost my virginity in the back of a, Cadillac. Like I did it, that didn't happen to me or in anything. But because I see a lot of me in her because I am holding dear life to who Cynthia was as a child, and the things that I can't remember. Try my hardest to remember, because I feel like I was the happiest as a child. And whenever, you're going through turmoil in adulthood or trials, tribulations, if you could just tap into what made you happiest as a child and bring it into your adulthood, life would be so much better. I think we put unnecessary burdens on ourselves as adults. Lots of me, and speaking for myself, I have so many expectations of what I think I should be doing right now, what I'm supposed to be, what my goals are, how I'm going to get here, like all of this worry. But I was gifted, my mother and father gifted me with the opportunity to just be a child. And I do not take that gift lightly. So I try to pull that into my adulthood. So Lady in Yellow, I feel that from her. Of all the characters, she's pretty much the only one who decided to talk about graduation night, to talk about her childhood, to talk about the parties, the girls hanging up against the wall. She's the only one. And so it's like she's holding on to something there, and I appreciated that, like seeing myself in that character.
Yeah, I think like as you talked, it just made me think and reflect a little bit more. And like the final monologue for Lady in Red, I think that's why I pulled to her, because for me, it was like a release, like finding that self-love. And in those like last sentences of her monologue, and I'm going to like flip and talk because that's what I normally do. Talk. But yep, I already know the line. I don't even know why I'm looking, but where she's like, I found God in myself and I loved her. And for me, I found much healing and release through her character. I was thankfully cast in that show in a time where I hadn't done a show outside of shows I was doing for like graduate studies in a while, which were religious based. And I was in a really interesting point in life. I finished one program in divinity school, started another one, and then stopped, because of money. And I'm like, I'm working here, but do I want to be here? And who am I? And kind of what I thought the church had to shape me, how I thought religion had to shape me, bad, or toxic interactions with people at that time, and not really knowing who I am and trying to find it and kind of trying to shed weights and expectations and things.
Mm-hmm.
And so doing that monologue for Lady in Red, I think for me, that's why it's the connection, because it was like a release. Like, no, you found God. God's right here. At that point, I was 7 years of religious study in a row. Mm-hmm. With all these different concepts and kind of like, do I do this? Do I do that? But where's God? And who am I? And what do I look like? And so for me, that Lady in Red, she went through some things, she was from exploring sexuality and sensuality to the stories where she portrayed of the abuse and Bo Willie, and then in the end, but she found God. And so for me, it was kind of like this cathartic process that Lady in Red had. Even with the direction of this phenomenal director who had like the stripping down of clothes that I was so apprehensive about at first, and then I was like, but I realized it was the shedding of the weight and the expectation and finding the core. And so that's what I really, really loved about that character, because that helped me. And I'm like, when there's a piece that speaks to so many people, that can speak to so many facets, it's like Shange literally poured her heart out, and my heart and your heart from that vantage point, and just knew what to say. Like, it wasn't any pretense, it wasn't any kind of false structure, it was just living and breathing and becoming on stage and when reading this. And to me, I think that's what makes it's so powerful. That's why you see people do it all the time. And yes, I know people do it a lot of time, because how many plays can you find with African-American women? That's why you came up with and Cyn, so we can find more and we can see that there works out there, right? Mm-hmm. So we do know that it's done a lot, because this is, one of a few in a lot of people's catalogs where you can't have that as a cast, but more so like the life that it breathes, the honesty, the rawness of it. Like, I know a girl who was Lady in Blue about the abortion, you know what I'm saying? Like every character I saw, like, I know, somebody who went through that, whether it was myself or somebody else, like, it's our stories being told.
Right.
Like,
yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And that, I guess that's, the reason why Lady in White, that was written into the screenplay, probably upset her so much, because in the play, God is recognizable in all of these women. God is used to oppress, as it had, as people have used the Bible and the God and Jesus to oppress others. And in the screenplay, God is written in as a form of oppression on the other characters, on Lady in White, and that's just not the message she wanted to put out into the world.
Right.
God is in you. God is not defined by gender either. And that patriarchal burden that we have in our world that we live in is not evident in this body of work. So I could totally understand why that character written by a man, you know what I'm saying, it would upset her, because a woman standing before, open and bare and raw, before an audience, saying, I found God in myself and I loved her fiercely,
right,
is protest art. It is a protest state. Like, regardless, I'm going to love myself regardless of everything that is happening. I'm going to love myself in spite of it all. And so it saddens me that she left the world feeling like her body of work was taken out of context.
I mean, I completely agree with you. You know, I don't have access to comments, so I'll be okay. But I will just be 100% honest. I was upset when I found out that he was doing the movie. And it's for the reasons you shared. I just feel like there's an experience that only a woman can speak to. And we're in a world, especially in a world as being women of color, African-American women, Black women, however you coin yourself, where we're told we can't be loud, we can't be quiet. I can't be fat, I can't be skinny. I can't be light, I can't be dark. I can't be smart, I can't be... No matter what I am, there's a problem with it. Mm-hmm. And I feel like this piece gives us a voice, especially when you look through the lens of religion and religiosity and how the woman's voice is silenced. So then the woman of color's voice is non-existent.
Yeah.
And when we try to speak up, when we're not being angry or brash, but just using our voice, we're coined as the angry Black woman, or, you know, can't handle XYZ or can't do these things. So for me, this piece is like freedom. And I just, for me, I didn't appreciate the creation of the additional character because I couldn't see how it fit. It didn't sound like her voice. I don't like the way that the characters were kind of chopped and put together.
Yeah.
You know, like Lady in Red was doing Lady in Green's monologues, and Lady in, you know, Green was doing Lady Blue monologues. And I would say that I would want people, if the movie was their first exposure, and a lot of people, the movie was their first exposure to this piece, that it's my hope that they come back to the original piece and can hear, you know, fully the voice of the originator of the piece.
Right.
You know, I just, for me, because I had that opportunity to become intimate with the piece, the movie took away, I think, the value and the integrity of the piece for me because of the chopping and the addition, because it missed what she was trying to say to me. This is my opinion, you know.
Yeah.
Everybody has one. It's fine, you know, but
yeah,
because we don't get this all the time. We as women, we don't get this opportunity. We don't get to, you know. I remember my fiance on stage shocked after the show, shocked. And, you know, he was helping me practice lines and things before and laughing at first but then when he came to the show and saw it all put together, because we have voice, right? And it even helps him understand more, like, what is his role, and when he does things, are they being misogynistic? Mm-hmm. Are they being such and such? Oh, I didn't really realize it. You know, so there's power in the piece. And so I think that's why the movie bothered me some, because it's like, I don't want it to take away that power. It's not knocking the acting, it's not knocking the attempt. But the value of it, the essence of it, I think was lost in the way it was done. Because I think, you know, as artists, we all have our own voices, and I think there was like trying to put this voice on this work, and this isn't the kind of work that needed another voice.
Absolutely.
Especially another male. It didn't need a male voice at all.
And men, the appearance of men is not in the stage play. We don't ever see a man in the stage play.
Right.
So it's holistic and spiritual and reflective for the female experience. And you're right. the film did take away from that sacredness, I feel like. If you are looking for monologues, this is the place to look.
Yes.
It's full of monologues, full of dramatic and comedy, so whatever you're looking for. And we actually have a powerhouse actress coming on right now. She's going to be coming into the room. It's Dahjn Maria Gomez, and she is going to do one of the monologues from Four for Color Girls.
So it is my honor and pleasure to introduce to you Dahjn Maria Gomez. So Dahjn Maria Gomez is originally from the Boogie Down Bronx, NYC. Yes, and my sister.
Yeah.
And she is a SAG AFTRA and Equity actress currently residing in the Mid-Atlantic area. I had the honor of actually meeting Dahjn on set for a TV One production, in which just automatically clicked with her. Her spirit is so awesome, and her acting chops are unbelievable. So I'm extremely excited for everyone to get to know her today. Just a little bit about some of her previous productions. So I mentioned she has done For My Man. She's done previous productions like The King Is Here, We Got It. She does voiceover work as well for things such as Emily's List and The Burbs. She was recently on a project, an upcoming project called Zodiac. And I also had the pleasure of her onboarding as an emergency replacement for my last run of the Suicide Journals. So outside of this, Dahjn was a part of many TYA productions prior to her transition to Equity. She is also a former medical assisting instructor, and she's currently continuing to build and grow her chops, pursuing her AA degree in performance studies to continue on afterwards to her BFA program. So I'd like everybody to welcome Dahjn Maria Gomez.
Hello. Hello. Sickle. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate this. It's an honor. It really is.
Dahjn, how have you been holding up during social distancing, quarantine, and everything?
Okay. I am a very social person. So it was an adjustment for me. But I took on the adage that it's better to be alive and bored than dead, and you can't do anything. So that was the little voice that would talk to me whenever I would get a little antsy. You know, I'm like, okay, just calm down. It's not permanent. It's not forever. Just relax. It's going to be okay. And so it just prompted me to just find things to do, to kind of really stop for once and just really take a breath and look inside internally and realize there were things that I still needed to do and to develop. So that's basically how I've handled the whole transition with the COVID-19. Yeah.
So with the COVID-19, have you developed any new favorite snacks, drinks, or at-home dishes that you cook?
Sure. Well, you say, firstly, let me go on record as saying I hate cooking, okay? I despise it. Can't stand it. Don't care what that makes me. I don't like it. But of course, you have to eat to live, right? So I did come up with some dishes. I really got bored. So I know I was bored. Learned how to do jerk chicken. Learned how to make General Tso chicken. You notice chicken was the theme, right? Made a lot of dishes that I normally wouldn't have made. But because I got tired of spaghetti and fish and, you know, the same thing, I really started to like kind of dig and, okay, okay, that looks good. What do I do? Okay, you know, just try to push myself to try new things. Because I believe that's the spice of life, right? Trying new things. And you can't really say you don't like something until you tried it. So I have to, you know, practice what I preach. And that's what I did. So shout out to creativity and necessity forcing me to cook some more.
Yeah, same. I would look on Pinterest for different recipes and things
Mhm.
because I was tired of eating the same stuff. So I can totally agree with you there. Can
Yeah.
you tell us about your career? How did you even get started acting?
Oh, wow. Well, little Don, she's in second grade, was cast in a play called The Gumdrop Dragon. And there were 5 princesses, and I was one of them. I was Miss Marshmallow. And so when I performed the play, I did my part, and I noticed people were laughing when I would speak. And I thought, I must be really bad. Like, oh no, I should never do this again. And my mom took me aside. She goes, no, they just thought you were so cute and the way you would do your lines. That's why they were laughing. They just thought you were just so precocious. And so, of course, I don't know what the word precocious means at 6. Yeah. But I'm like, okay. And so as time developed, I loved to sing. I would start performing at church and different places. I picked up the flute because that was supposed to help me to sing. And by the time I got to high school, we had moved from New York to Connecticut, and I went to a separate high school called ECA, Educational Center for the Arts in New Haven, Connecticut. And I thought I was going for flute, but I wound up going for vocal, for I trained operatically. So, but I always saw, I saw people, the old, like Dorothy Dandridge and Katharine Hepburn, and I just was mesmerized by how they could just act flawlessly. It seemed so seamless, just so believable. They had that ability to draw you in, and I wanted that. So I would say after children and marriage, I started to really kind of pursue that a little further. And everybody thought I was ridiculous because I didn't do it when I was younger. Why are you going to do it in your 30s and your 40s? Are you crazy, lady? So, and the more people told me I couldn't do it, the more I did it. And I say, but probably 2014 is when I really just gung-ho said, throw caution to the wind. I'm going for it. And started acting, started doing little things after being injured for so long. I was on crutches for 4 years. My first job was with a local independent series, and I was running in Glens Falls. I don't know if you're familiar with Baltimore City, but Glens Falls Park. I was running through the woods and climbing up hillsides, and So I got the bug, and the bug bit me. And no matter how many times I tried to steer away from it, I don't know if anybody can empathize with that. No matter how many times my life took a turn and I thought, okay, maybe I should do a quote unquote real job. Let me go this way. Something just kept, nope, go back. Nope, go back. So I finally listened. And here I am today, I can't believe that I'm a member of SAG Aftra. It seemed like the elusive, that kind of holy grail. But I fought, many a production, many people telling you I couldn't do it, maybe because of my height or my weight or my skin tone and all that crap that happens in this profession. For some reason, the more people told me no, the more I said, I've got to. So that's pretty much what brought me here. Here I am. Yeah.
So I know that you mentioned some of the people that you looked at are the artists like Dorothy Dandridge and Katharine Hepburn. Is there a performance by a particular actor that has really stood out to you, that's maybe spoken to you and said the power behind that or the precision behind that is something that I aim for, to have that kind of precision in my own Don way, not as that actor, but is there a performance that just really stands out to you that kind of pulls at you and gives you that feeling that you talk about?
That's a good question. I'm a type of person where I glean. I can extrapolate from different things. But the one performance that I can think of, which just showed raw vulnerability, was Viola Davis's Fences, believe it or not. And I know it's kind of recent, but I thought this woman was crying and snot was coming, and it was the most unapologetic, I don't care if I don't look beautiful right now. this is my soul. And I remember just kind of just staring. It just grabbed me because she was just totally unabandoned, just didn't care. This is how I feel right now. And for someone to be able to jump into a role and evoke that response that way, amazing. I think that's the, because all the actors, they just had this, I love the sophistication. So the old school Katharine Hepburn, she would, sit and talk a certain way. And it was just like that sophistication. And I kind of feel like some of the acting has we've gotten away from that. But that was what I want to be. I'm kind of like that old school actor where when I perform, I want you to be like, wow, okay. Oh, okay. She really meant that. She really felt that. That's what I would have to say. I have to say Viola Davis. Even though that's recent and I love, I'm not, it's funny, as an actor, I really don't watch. You would think I was always watching a movie, or I kind of don't. So when I perform something and someone says, hey, that's how so-and-so did it, I wouldn't know because I didn't see it. So, I can't say I'm copying or mimicking someone. It's what my visceral response is. So I'm proud of that. I'm proud of that I can evoke whatever the response is, and it seems apropos, or it seems like that's the perfect fit. I really appreciate that. But yeah, Viola Davis, queen. I salute her. Jesus.
Yes. Yeah. She is a phenomenal actress. You really spoke a little bit about being in your 30s and 40s and people saying, why are you doing this now? It's too late. What do you think the current state of the entertainment industry is for the older Black actress?
So I'm past the 30s and 40s now. To be honest with you, I think when you become older, you have to start thinking differently. It's not so much of who's going to take me on as what I can create to force people to see me. It's time for you to create your roles that you want to play. Because if you wait around for people, you're going to keep waiting. I'm not saying it can't happen. It's not impossible. But as an African American, as a woman, as an older person, we find ourselves always trying to, make sure we look young so we can fit a role. I make sure I don't look certain ages because, no, create your own stuff. I think that's what happens when you get older. You have to learn, how do I not reinvent the wheel, but how do I make the wheel better? How do I make the wheel turn faster for me? I think that's what older actors as a whole have to look at, the production side of what do you want to see yourself in, not what Hollywood wants to see you in.
Piggybacking off of you sharing that,
okay.
Of creating your own and thinking about the production side. One of the things that I waited to speak on from your introduction is that you're actually the founder of a newly founded network, SLM Network.
That's right.
And piggybacking off of what you just said, can you tell us a little bit more about that vision and what SLM Network is, and where do you see SLM Network, and how that ties into your work as an artist and a producer?
Great question. Okay, so in the Mid-Atlantic area, there tends to be people, and I don't know if you've noticed this where you are, but it tends to be the same people that get picked for the same projects. It's the same people. They're all close, and there's nothing wrong with that. You do what you're familiar with. You work with who, know the devil you're with type thing. But to try to break through, and I'm not the type of person to be like, look at me, I'm over here, look at me. I'm not the type of person. So I said, how do I create something where I can showcase my own stuff, where I don't have to worry about if Netflix picks me up or if so-and-so wants to work with me? What do I do? And I got one day, randomly, I had seen it for a while, where it was called Binge Networks, and it kept saying, have your own channel. And I kept thinking it was spam, so I kept flipping through, totally ignoring it. And then one day it had a special, and I actually stopped and read it. And they said that you could have your own channel, it would be global, and you could put up what you wanted. So bells and whistles went up. I'm like, ooh, I can produce my own, create my own, and have a platform to throw it up there. I don't have to wait for Netflix to say, yes, Don. I don't have to wait for HBO to say, yes, Don, or NBC. Let me do that, and I could still be seen. But then I thought about it because I had started my own media company, Silently Loud Media, LLC. And I said, well, wait a minute. If I create a channel, it can't be the All Don Network. That's boring, and that's narcissistic. Let's not be a narcissist. Okay? So I'm like, what about other people who would normally not get an opportunity? No one would probably not listen to them, where I can say, hey, you've got a good idea. You have a good concept. Come on board. And so that's when SLM Network came to be. And it was a lot of back and forth and a lot of things, ups and downs. And so we moved from binge networks to Roku. And everybody knows what Roku is. You know, if you have a smart TV, you see Roku pop up. Just wanting to give good people who don't have a voice to be heard, you know, to be counted. Because there are so many people who have great ideas out there, but just no one knows because no one's listening. And that's the birth of the SLM Network, where we are today. And I'm really excited and honored to have great people on board.
That is awesome. You're absolutely right. We need more execs, more Black female execs at the table, creating content, making sure the content is seen and heard around the globe. So yes. That's so powerful to hear that you're doing that. Veronique, in her introduction, talked about you becoming equity in SAG, and I know a lot of actresses want that. They want to have that representation. What advice would you give them? And do you think that it's necessary? Is it still room for the non-union actress to make strides in the industry?
Great question. Great question. So as a native New Yorker, I'm going to be pro-union. I'm going to tell you from the non-union side, I had to do non-union to get to where I am now. You have to start somewhere. When I became union, I noticed the treatment was night and day. Night and day, where people would have me on set for hours and hours and hours and really couldn't care two squats whether I ate or not. Unions are, oh, wait a minute, hold it, time out. I think my favorite memory is doing an industrial. And I came on set and I think I was the only person on set who was SAG AFTRA. And they had my name on the door of my dressing room. And I just stood there and looked and like, you know, I took pictures. I'm like, okay. And we were coming onto the scene, and the set was set up where there was a lot of cable, lots of cable, you know, the dollies, everything just helter-skelter. And everybody was told to step over and then duck under, right? And then they came to me and they said, okay, come on, Don, and took me by my hand. Okay, step over here, move out the way. Watch this. And I was like, oh, I can get used to this. This is awesome. It shouldn't be such a differentiation between non-union and union, but believe it or not, it is. It is, because unfortunately, there are some people out there that will take advantage of you and just think you're just, you know, here's a piece of paper, bye. You know, the union fights. If people only knew all the benefits to SAG AFTRA alone. I am officially a member of Equity. Officially, I got the email today. Today is my day. Happy birthday to me. So it protects you. Unions are to protect you. They're not here to hurt you. And so when I hear people say fallacies about the union, it kind of ticks me off, because I'm like, you don't really know. As far as work is concerned, you probably will not get as many jobs as you would if you were non-union. But do you prefer quality versus quantity? Which way do you want to go? See, I'm all about quality. So I may not get 15 jobs, but if I get that 1 or 2 that pays me $5,000, $10,000, and they treat me with respect, sold. And I think that's what people have to understand. What do you want? What do you want? What's important to you? There are still opportunities. Even in COVID-19, there were opportunities. There were opportunities for voiceover that nobody seems to want to tap into. I don't know what that's about. There were opportunities for you, but you have to be willing and yielding and open to them. So I hope I answered that. Yes, there's plenty. There's plenty of work for everybody. Believe it or not, there's work for all of us actors out there, but you have to kind of distinguish, what do you want? Because see, I don't want the same, what you may want or what Veronique may want. We don't all want the same thing. Mm-hmm. So this whole, oh my God, I gotta get a job. I don't get a job. Oh my God. No, calm down. Breathe. The job is out there for you. You'll get it. But don't shirk being a union member. You'll be thankful that you did it. Those dues are well worth it. Let me tell you something. I paid up till next year. I didn't have to pay up to next year. I was like, here you go. More money? Take my money. Because I'm so appreciative of what they do. The work is out there. The work will come to you. The right role will come for you. It's out there. You don't have to kill anybody or step on anybody's back to get it. Your role that's meant for you is out there. You just gotta keep pushing.
Well, I am thankful that I was able to onboard you before you went union. I had a pleasure. It's such an honor, and just being on this video with both of you, because both of you played this role for me in the Suicide Journal.
Oh, I didn't know that yet.
It was a monologue-based play. Not exactly choreo poem-like, but inspired by the show that we're going to have you do your cold reading from today.
Okay.
For colored girls. So when I was writing the Suicide Journals, I loved that aspect of the monologues flowing into some dialogue and back to monologues. And I gleaned that from that piece. That piece inspired me. So different subject matter, but similar format. So first of all, thank the two of you, because y'all just brought that to life. It's so exciting to be on here with both of you, because y'all just killed it. Okay.
Oh, like, all right.
Beyond. And
Gemini twins activate. That's what.
And for those of you who don't know, these two ladies killed it. And these two ladies have the exact same birthday. So I don't know if it's something about that date, that month, that sign. I don't know. But these two ladies, I'm so honored to call them, my friends and my sisters, and know that they're out here making these strides and busting glass ceilings and creating their own tables for us to be able to come to. So that is exciting for me. So it also makes me very excited for you to read from this show. Now, I had the honor of acting under Cynthia in this show, but not from this monologue. So it's just all this interconnectedness today makes me excited to hear you read. So, Cindy, do you want to introduce the monologue that she'll be reading from?
Sure. So today, Dawn will be reading from Ntozake Shange's 4 Colored Girls, and she will be reading Lady in Blue's Sorry monologue. Are you ready, Dawn?
One thing I don't need is any more apologies. I got sorry greeting me at my front door You can keep yours. I don't know what to do with them. They don't open doors or bring the sun back. They don't make me happy. Or get a morning paper. Didn't nobody stop using my tears to wash cars? 'Cause sorry. I'm simply tired of collecting. I didn't know I was so important when you. I'm gonna have it thrown some away. I can't get to the clothes in my closet for all the sorries. I'm gonna tack a sign to my door, leave a message by the phone. If you call to say you're sorry, call somebody else. I don't use them no more. I let sorry, didn't meant, and how could I know about that? Take a walk down a dark and musty street in Brooklyn. I'm gonna do exactly what I want to. And I won't be sorry for none of it. Let's sorry soothe your soul. And I'm gonna soothe mine. You were always inconsistent, doing something and then being sorry, beating my heart to death, talk about you sorry? Well, I will not call. I'm not going to be nice. I will raise my voice and scream and holler and break things and race the engine and tell all your secrets about yourself in your face. I will list in detail every one of my wonderful lovers and their ways. I will play Oliver Lake loud, and I won't be sorry for none of it. I loved you on purpose. I was a pawn and open on purpose. I still crave vulnerability and close talk, and I'm not even sorry about you being sorry. You can carry all the guilt and grime you wanna. Just don't give it to me. I can't use another sorry. Next time, you should admit you're mean, low down, trifling, and no count straight out. Instead of being sorry all the time, enjoy being yourself.
And Cyn. How do you feel?
Is that okay? Did I do okay?
Have you ever had a cold read that didn't go well at all?
Ah! It's the Pope Catholic.
Well, the current Pope might not be.
Might not be.
That's a good thing.
So I think I remember one cold read. I'm not gonna say it didn't go well. It was I didn't have any contacts or glasses, and I couldn't read crap.
Oh no!
I was reading, and then what I thought I saw wasn't there, but I was creating stuff. I'm very good at improv, very good at thinking on my feet. And it was for an audition before we got it, the TYA show by Lynn Streeter Childress. And she said, I thought you were changing my words. You know how playwrights are. They're very particular. You know, you got to make sure you execute perfectly. I thought you were changing my words. But then I realized she just can't see. I was like, okay.
Oh my God.
And I got the part. But I couldn't see a gosh darn thing. I tell you what, nothing. It's like, what does this say? And she, what, how? I didn't know.
Oh my God.
But what was also funny was I was drawing her into it. So stuff that wasn't there, she was answering because we were feeding off of each other. So it was a whole new play. But by the time I got there, she was like, wait a minute. I didn't write that. It was hilarious. It was hilarious. So yes, I would say that didn't go as well as I would like to have gone, but I was appreciative of the fact that I relied on other skills to help me through that fiasco.
That's good advice. That's very good advice.
Yeah, just rely on yourself. And I think I'm a perfectionist. I'm big on that. And so I think you have to kind of push that aside because nothing is perfect. You know? And I think people appreciate you more when you don't try to be perfect. They kind of like to see the little flaws, you know, that kind of relate to. So yeah, that's the one that sticks out in my head. Cold feet, like, oh God, what does this say? What is it saying?
Well, thank you, Dawn, for joining us on Unseen today. It has truly been a pleasure to learn about your journey, and we are excited to see what comes next.
Oh, thank you for having me, ladies. And you guys are phenomenal. Keep doing this. Thank you.